everybody, it's Joey, and I'm here to do a scary story time. I have on the Hocus Pocus 2 palette. I know you can't see it, but you'll see in my other videos. So yeah, I'm burning Wicked Apple right now by Bath & Body Works. So let's get started with this scary story time. This happened when I first moved in to this house. So I live in a dead-end block. I live in a dead-end block. So I live in the suburbs, really nice neighborhood, there's, I'm gonna move this camera up a little bit because it's like right in my face, okay. So I first moved into this house in 2006, right? So this happened the Halloween of 2007. This happened like literally Halloween night of 2007. So I was 16 years old. Now, when I first moved into this neighborhood, I didn't have many friends. So there was my next door neighbor, his father was the mayor of the community. And no one really liked him. No one really wanted to be his friend either because of his father. And I was new to the neighborhood, so I was just like, you know what, I'll make whatever friend I can. So he seemed really nice. We went to the same school. And I'm gonna make up a name. Jake. His name's Jake. His name's really not Jake, but you know what I mean. Jake. And then we both made like a mutual friend at school. Her name was Tabitha. Name was Tabitha. So Tabitha and Jake. So backstory of his family. His family has lived into this neighborhood for years and years and years. That house they live in has been passed down from generation to generation. So there was a lot of stories I've heard about how they did wrong dealings and how they did like shady shit and how they, got their way doing like shady deals, the whole family from years past, the grandparents, everything. So this neighborhood, like this family doesn't have a good name in this neighborhood. But the son, Jake, he was really, really nice, and he didn't seem like his family at all. So we were hearing stories about the house down the block. So again, I live in a dead-end block. So we're hearing about the house down the block, right? So there's a house at the very edge of the street, at the very end. And it was like dark and gloomy. It's kind of like the Edward Scissorhands movie where like we were like living in the suburbs, but then there's a house like all the way down and it's really dark and it's deserted and there's like wooden blocks on the door saying do not enter. And if no one's moved into that house because of the stories that we've heard from this neighborhood, that house is haunted. So no one wants to live in that house. Supposedly a family that lived there years ago died in that house mysteriously. They'd never found the bodies and they haunt that house. That's hearsay, right? So my family was telling me don't go near that house, and then Jake's family and even what did I name that girl? Tabitha. Even Tabitha's Tabitha's family was like, do not go near that house. If you go over my house, you go over Jake's house, do not go near that house on the block. And especially Jake's family was like forbidding it. They were like, if I ever see you near that house, you're grounded for life. Like they were like, you better not go near that house. It was like they were trying to warn him or something, like don't go near that house or else, It's like his family knew something that no one else knew. So it was Halloween night and Jake was like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of my family telling me what to do, my parents and everything, everyone's judging me because of my father and his name. I want to do what I want to do. So I want to go, it was Halloween night, like, let's go down the block and like, let's go in the house, like, let's do something a little, like, let's do something like out of our character. And out, this was so out of like our character at all. Like I've known him for like a month now because I knew him for a year, but September, we got really close in September of 2007. So for a good month, we were really good friends, and it didn't seem like something he would do. So he was like, oh, come on, let's go. So we took Tabitha. We're like, Tabitha, do you want to go to the house down the block on Halloween night? Like, we're thinking about going, she was like, I don't know, my family's forbidding it and everything. I was like, well, listen, it's gonna be the three of us. Honestly, I don't believe in it. I want to prove everyone wrong. So let's prove everybody wrong and go down the street and go in that house, right? So now what's also skeptical of me is that why have they not torn down this house yet? You know what I mean? It's like, is someone scared of something? Like, if they're afraid to tear down this house, what's gonna happen to them? Like, it's like whatever's haunting this house is scaring the neighborhood to even like not even go near the house at all. So we went in, we broke in. There was blocks on the door, and we literally just we pulled it. All three of us pulled it apart. It kind of came apart. It's been how long? I think it was oh my god, I'm gonna say 25 years since anyone lived in that house. So you know, the wood, everything was kind of like crumbling. You know, so it was like easy to pull apart. We went inside. It was very creaky. It was very dark. It was eerie. It was like 10 o'clock at night at this point. And we were walking, creeping in, and we were like, yeah, you know, let's just go in. Like, let's just go all the way in, right? We went in, and I don't know, it was like really chilly. It was like, it felt like it was really dark, and we only had our like flashlights, right? Because we didn't have our iPhones with flashlights, so we had to bring our own flashlights. And we were like looking around and stuff, and there was like whoever this family was that lived here was like they still had their like furniture, and like whoever like died in this house, you know, no one moved in, no one even took anything out of it. Like it was the furniture was still there was candles and stuff still on the fireplace. There was like little pictures of them on. It was like creepy seeing pictures of them collecting dust in the living room. It was like, oh my god, like it was like haunting. It was like, okay, so it was like, yeah, a father and a mother, and then there was a little boy and a little girl. So it was like, it was four of them. It was a four family. And they seemed, I think they died, it was 25 years before that. So I think they died in the early 80s, I want to say. Sometime in the 80s they died. So this house has been abandoned since the 80s, and this was 2007 at this point. So then it started to get even creepier because, we didn't believe in it, but then we started to believe in things because the front door, shut automatically. Like, we didn't shut it. We were like, did you shut it? We didn't know who shut the door because none of us claiming we shut the door, but supposedly the door was shut. And we were like, okay, fine. Then maybe one of us shut the door. We forgot it, right? And so we're walking around the house, and we start to hear like moans going on in the house, like moans, like really like grunting, like heavy grunting. And we're like, we started like food frozen shit. We're like, okay, what is that? Like, we started to get a little nervous. Then Jake went into, I want to say, the dining room, and there was like this like china closet. He opened up a drawer and he saw a yearbook, right? And he was skimming through the yearbook, and he saw, I can't even believe I'm going to say this right now because it's so scary. He saw his parents in high school, or his father in high school, his father in a high school yearbook with the family that died in this house. The mother and the father that died in this house was in that yearbook that Jake's father was in. So Jake's father never told him that he went to school with this family down the block that vanished. Never told Jake that he went to high school with them. So that was kind of creepy and eerie, how Jake's father has a secret that like the family down the block, he went to high school with them. So he knew them really well, obviously. Next thing Jake knows, someone tapped his shoulder. He felt someone tap his shoulder, and he thought it was me. He was like, "Oh, Joe!" Like he turned around, he didn't see me, and all of a sudden he started hearing, "Jake, I want your father. I want my revenge." And Jake was like, "Oh my god!" He really thought it was me. He was like, "Joe, come on, like stop, like come on, like it was really dark in the house. And he really couldn't see who it was. Like, who is it? Who is it?" It wasn't me, and it wasn't Tabitha either. Tabitha and me were wandering still in the living room, like, and creeping up the stairs. We were like wandering around the house. We were nowhere near the dining room where he was. At that point, he wanted to leave, right? So he's leaving. He's like leaving the dining room, and all of a sudden, the table starts to shake, and chairs, like a chair, flew across the room. He told me, and I was like, "What the fuck?" So then he's screaming, "Joe, Tabitha, get down here now! Like wherever the hell you are, we need to leave. We need to leave. There's someone out there. This house really is haunted. Oh my god!" I said, "Let's go. What happened?" He's like, "You wouldn't even believe it." He said, "This yearbook I found from the family that lived here from their high school years, and there's pictures of my father in the yearbook with them. He went to high school with them. And then someone told me, I want revenge on you for what your father did." Like, I heard that. I wasn't hearing things. And I just was like, "Oh my God." I said, "Jake, this is crazy. This is so good." Then we look and we're hearing noises from the living room. So we look around and we see like the candles and like the, whatever was on the fireplace mantle just magically fell down onto the floor. And we're like, "Oh my God, whoever died in this house, they never found the bodies and they are pissed. These spirits are pissed," right? So we're going to the front door. We can't open the door. The door is like we couldn't open it. It was like locked. And we're like, "How the hell did it lock? Like, there's not even a lock on the door anymore. Like, where's the lock?" Like, we couldn't even find the lock. Like, why is the front door locked? And then we just kept hearing more moans and more moans. "I want my revenge. Your father knows what he did to me." And like we were hearing this throughout the house, and we're just like, "Oh my God!" We're like, "Is someone pranking us? Are we being punked?" Like we got really scared, and we were like, "No, like whoever was haunting this house is really haunting this house, and they're out to get really Jake at this point. Like they're out to get Jake because of whatever his father did." So we were like, "What the hell are we gonna do? What the hell are we gonna do?" So we ran up the stairs and we found like this bedroom and this window, right? So we tried jamming open the window. We found the door. We like the window, like we jammed it open, right? We're like, "Okay, well we're up one floor up. We can climb down." All of a sudden, I felt something grab my arm, and I was just like, I was like, "No, no, please." I was like, and then I just like literally just like flung myself out of the window. I was like, "No, I gotta like," and I like jumped right out of the window, and I started holding on to like the barrier there. And then Jake, I was like, "Someone just touched me. We gotta leave now." So then Jake and Tabitha were like, "Oh shit, we gotta go." And then they both were like, "Okay, let's get out of this window right now." Like, so we're both like dangling on the window. And we're like, we gotta like dangle all the way down and then jump. But we gotta go as far down as we possibly climb down and then jump, right? So Tabitha, while we were outside the window climbing down the house, she looked up and she saw a woman. Her throat was slit. And she was out the window that we climbed out of. And she was looking down on us. And she looked pissed off. And we were like, "Oh my God." So then we ended up jumping out of the house. We got to the floor. Luckily there was like grass, so we didn't like fall on concrete. Fell down. We picked ourselves up. We left. We called the police and we said, "There's spirits in the house. They're angry. Something happened to them. Somehow Jake's family is involved with it. We need it, right?" So the cops went and searched the place, the house. It was just abandoned. They didn't see any ghosts. They didn't see or hear anything. They thought we were just kids pranking them. So Jake got home later that night. He was like, I gotta look. Jake was like, I gotta look into this house. I gotta see what my family has to do with this family down the block that just vanished, right? So he looked into the basement and he saw like this locked box. And his father was always like, oh, it's just important paperwork, like important files, like, don't go near it. So Jake was like, no. After what he saw that night in the in that house, he was like, no, no, I'm not taking any chances. So he took a hammer and he started bashing open the box. He opened up the box, and then he saw what was inside the box. There were bloody gloves and a razor, like a sharp razor that looked like it could slit someone's throat. Okay. So now this is all hearsay, right? So no one knows what happened to this family down the block, right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. There's speculation that the family moved and didn't tell anyone. That's one thing, I guess. But then, even though they didn't find the bodies, they're haunting the house. So they're there, right? But there's a possibility they could have left with all their stuff in the house. I mean, I don't see how that could happen, how they could just vanish and no one heard of them again, none of their families or anything else, and then they left all their shit in the house. I mean, it doesn't seem like that's likely, right? Then there's another speculation, another theory, that Jake's father did some shady dealings with the house on the block, that family. Somehow, maybe they wanted to tear down that house, maybe they wanted them to move for whatever reasons, maybe Jake did something that he wasn't supposed to do and the family found out and he needed to get rid of them. It's a lot of speculation going on there, so he got rid of them. Maybe he did it, maybe he did it with some people, maybe he hired some people to do his dirty work, who knows? Jake's family's loaded, lots of money. He could have done anything at that point. But Jake asked his father, did you go to school with the people that died down the block or vanished down the block? And he was like, no. So he was lying. So that means he's trying to cover his ass. So this whole thing is very eerie and creepy, right? Because no family just vanishes out of thin air. We're glad that we went into that house because we got a lot of answers, but then we also got a lot more questions. And I think that the father had some type of vendetta against the family down the block, probably from high school days. Maybe he stole his sweetheart, because supposedly, this is what we've been hearing, that Jake's father in high school was in love with this one girl, but then someone stole her away from him, and no one knows who it was, right? So there's a lot of questions because, again, this family has lived in this neighborhood forever. So everyone knows this family. Everyone knows everything that happened from the high school, from the grandparents, from everything. Like, they're a really famous, popular family in this neighborhood. And anything they did, they knew. You know what I mean? However, there was a lot that probably they did do underneath the table, hiddenly, that no one would expect them to do, or the father would to do, because they thought the father was a nice man. But some people knew that the father was a bad guy, and that's why Jake didn't have many friends, But it was very creepy. It was very eerie. So yeah, I think that, you know what I think? I think that the father was pissed off at the family down the block. I think that he stole Jake's father's girlfriend, and they got married and had kids, and he always resented them for it. And they lived in that neighborhood. They lived in the house down the block, right near, neighbors to Jake's family, Jake's father. And he still had that vendetta, maybe from high school, and he wanted to get rid of him and the family from that vendetta. No one knows. Like, that's what I'm speculating. Again, it's all theories and hearsay. Jake's family doesn't even live in this neighborhood anymore. They moved. Too much shit, too much history here, too much fucking just dirt and shit that was just like a lot of like baggage with that family. So Jake and his family moved out of this neighborhood years ago. Like maybe a couple years after this incident happened and on Halloween night. But they're not here anymore. They're not here anymore. The house on the block, the house eventually did get torn down. And they rebuilt a new house. And the new house, a family does live there now. And so there's no one haunting it anymore. So maybe when they tore down the house, that family that died in the house went with them. But just to think that Jake's father killed that entire family, supposedly even slit their throats, and got away with it because he's the mayor. You know, that's really dirty, and that's really crazy, and that's disgusting, and it's scary and eerie to think that people do get away with murder. They do. Now, what did they do? What did he, if he did do this, what did he do to the bodies? And how did he dispose of the bodies? He could have buried them far, far away. He could have literally grinded the body up, you know, to sound really gross, I'm sorry, but grinded them up, burnt them, got rid of all the remains. You know, there could have been a lot of different theories in how he disposed of the bodies, you know? But, it just gives me the chills. It gives me the chills that Jake's father could do something like that. So, I'm just... Oh, it gives me the chills. Someone grabbed my arm. Jake felt someone grab his shoulder, literally talking in his ear in the dark while he was skimming through that yearbook, you know? So it was just really crazy. It was just a really crazy, too many coincidences, too many crazy stuff going on. We all can put the pieces together and we all can figure out what happened, but we can't prove anything. That's the thing, we can't prove anything. But yeah, that's what happened Halloween night of 2007. I was 16 years old, and I was really scared, very eerie. I will never go into a haunted house or a house that's abandoned or whatever for years, never again. I learned my lesson. I definitely did. It was a very scary night for all of us, for me, Tabitha, and Jake. And I feel bad for Jake that he has to live now with whatever his father did. And who knows, he could have done stuff to more families, you know? I mean, he was a very shady guy, supposedly. He did a lot of shady shit in this town before he moved, so... You know, who knows what's gonna happen, what we're gonna find out next. But anyways, love you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this scary story time. I'm gonna go now, and I love you guys so much. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.